It is time for another isolation conversation, and I am with the Cougars head men's basketball coach, Brian Barone, here. And Coach, it's been a while since you and I have had a chance to get together and to talk, and now it's been about 2 months that we have been away from the office for the most part, and things have been completely different. So first off, how have you been? How are things going?
Well, it's going, in the big scheme of things, going pretty good. You get a lot of family time. You get a lot of connection of, it's been neat to reconnect or connect again with people that you don't necessarily touch base with as much as you really should. I've been fortunate to have a perspective of utilizing this time, uh, internally as much as externally in terms of program wise, because what you find is you play that what if game so much. Well, what if we can go back next week, or if we don't do that, it's 3 months, or there's such a time gap that it's allowed us to really live in the moment a little bit more as a program, which has been pretty cool.
You mentioned extra family time, and you've got a full house over there. And I know I've been interested in and enjoying keeping up with the adventures of Cece along social media. So, how are things going with the family, with your wife Mimi, and with your children?
It's my wife and I. We went and social distance barbecued in Indiana to see her parents and brother, and we were driving home, and she kind of gave me a fist bump. She's like, "This has been pretty cool for us in the big scheme of things." And I said, "Yeah." And then 30 seconds later was, ghost riding the car, screaming at my kids, climbing in the back seat. And I looked at her again. I was like, "You want to say that again?" So it's been cool because, you have fun. If you documented everything, I wouldn't have enough, I would have to owe Twitter some money, I'm sure. But the kids have been really good. I've been really lucky to have kids that act pretty well, at least around other people, not necessarily around us all the time. So they've been not locked into school. And then the little 2-year-old is just, you're seeing it every single day, the changes. And as my wife would say, unfortunately, she's getting some of my wit. And as proud as I am of her at times, she's also very frustrating at times.
We're visiting with the Cougars head basketball coach, Brian Barone. And Coach, the other thing you've already, just touched on is that there's a lot of unknown. And so you're trying to move this program forward, moving into year 2 as the head coach. You've got recruiting to worry about. You've got practice plans. You've got all that stuff that you would normally be doing and ramping up here that I know you would like to be doing, but you don't know yet when you can be doing those things.
Yeah, again, it's the ultimate what if game, and you're sitting there. Well, what if this happens? If this clears up, then we can do this. Then phase 2, phase 3. We're talking about the unknown so much, and recruiting was a bear. It really was. It was our best asset, or in my opinion, is our community and each other, meaning our team and staff. And that's taken away from us. We don't have that ability to sell that, for lack of a better term. So that was tough. And then just trying to plan and understand, when we have the opportunity to get back, what are we going to do? And you have to be very smart about that. And at the time, we had 5 guys we had not signed. Really, I don't think we signed anybody other than Rea Rea when this all kind of went into action. So those times of thinking how you're going to play or what you're going to do, you didn't have 4 or 5 guys that were going to be on your team. So certain, styles and things that I wanted to do were a little unknown. So it's been tough, but it's, things could be worse, but it's been tough. Yeah, it's been unique.
How have you done that recruiting wise? Because as you mentioned, since basically we went on break, or we left the office, whatever you want to say, you have signed 5 guys. You've signed Courtney Carter, Philip Peppel, Desmond Polk, Michael Modis, and Carlos Curtis. How does that happen? How much have you leaned on your assistants? How does that get done when you don't have the chance to have those guys come to campus and see what SIUE has to offer?
Well, as you say that, the first thing I think we did a great job is keeping the letters very similar. We had Carlos Curtis, CC,
Yeah,
Courtney
that's
Carter,
true.
CC, Phil Peppel, PP, and Michael Mattis, MM. I didn't know we did that until you just said that right there. So that was big time. That kept us organized. We didn't have to jump all around the alphabet. That was bad. I don't know what we were thinking with that. Um, what you've done, a lot of it's relationship based. You look at who we signed. There's a history for the most part on every guy. You got Desmond and Carlos. Knew of them very well from my days at Green Bay. The connections of their AU coaches, their high school coaches. Des comes from Linkier, where we have Shamar and Lamar from. Courtney's head coach at South Suburban, big time coach. Coach for my dad at Creighton and Texas A&M. And then you look at Mattis and Pep are a little different because that was Pepple we'd been recruiting all year. And I actually went and saw him and was flying back right before all of this broke. There was people that were just starting to wear masks. And I know that's our timeline nowadays. And when did you put your first mask on? But I had seen him in his regional tournament, and we had recruited him all year. So that was the one kind of normal recruitment, I guess is the best way to say it. And then Michael was, again, relationship-based. A little bit through someone that we knew within the recruitment of Pep. So my point to all that is you get through this and you want – because I said to our staff, we are not settling. There's no way we're settling on guys just because it's easy. That's over and done with here at SIUE. We're not doing something just because it's easy. We're doing something because it makes sense. And it all came together really well based on our relationships and some luck of the timing with a couple of the guys.
You raise a really good point, not settling, not doing something because it's easy. Because quite frankly, in the time that we're dealing with now, that would be the easy thing for coaches to do. Hey, I see this guy's stats. I've seen him on film. He's going to be easy. We're going to have no problem bringing him in. Let's bring him in. But the problem that raises, obviously, is, okay, when, player X gets on campus and gets with your other guys and gets in your system, it's not a fit. And just because it was easy then, now you've got a difficult situation on your hands if you settled.
Yeah, and that's where people that's where you have to separate yourself, and that's when you're trying to go from where we are in the league, where we're going to go in our league, and fortunately we have a lot of relationships. My entire staff, and it wasn't. I just mentioned some of my immediate relationships, but within there we had a lot of relationships, and our staff did a great job of recruiting those guys. And we spent a lot of times, and sometimes you're sitting there in a Zoom meeting and it gets a little heated on we're pushing one another and we're sitting there going like, I like this guy, you like that guy. And, the research from afar was really important to me because I think we did a good job of understanding who we signed personality wise. You look at Carlos Curtis, for example, he played for Steve Forbes at East Tennessee State first year. He just went to Wake Forest. Me and Coach Forbes worked together at Illinois State. So, we have a very good relationship where he spoke of him as a person, not just as a player. And he spoke highly. And then he actually went and played for Triton Community College, who won the national championship 2 years ago. So that Steve Christensen's a heck of a coach. So you're doing that research with him. Then you're touching base with his AAU coaches that you have a long history with. It's not even so much as a player. You're looking at them because, we've identified that these guys can play. But you got to make sure that their personalities fit within what we have as well, because you're going to have to hit the ground running because they haven't met each other yet with our current guys. You talk about recruits a lot of times. I have 7 guys that I love coaching every single day here, not 9 actually, with 2 other guys that are actually on the team as well. So, you want to make sure that I'm very protective of our locker room. You want to bring in guys that are going to fit into the guys that are working their tail off this last year for me, and because those guys mean the world to me.
And obviously, you mentioned him briefly, but Rashawn Taylor signed in the early period. And here's a guy that the accolades continue to pile up for. Now recently, added as part of STL Today's all-decade team as far as basketball players in the metro area. A fantastic student on top of that. This is
Mhm.
a heck of a player you've gotten and committed to this program early.
Yeah, so Ray, I was actually interim coach still when the path from my first two recruiting classes. I can't wait to see what happens next year. We'll see what happens next year. Are we gonna? Who knows what's gonna? I'm not even gonna joke because I don't want to put bad karma out there. But Ray believed in what our vision was when our vision was just really being formulated. He was around it. You know, it was a blessing for us that he was able to see the bows and the warts early. He was able to see, what the demands were going to be when our current team didn't really understand what they were going to be. And through their growing pains, he was in a lot of the game, a lot of our games this year. And so I'm really excited about Ray because of the kind of person he is and the ability to take on a community and go play for someone and somewhere that you believe in, even though it wasn't necessarily out to the outside sources very appealing, or outside people very appealing. That says a lot about Rashawn Taylor. Then he goes on and has a year that he has, and he just was getting an award. It felt like every time I was at a game, he was breaking some record or getting another MVP award. And it's a credit to his family. It's a credit to his coaches, and most importantly, it's a credit to him on how he's really, progressed this entire year. And he's been a face of our program, even though he's at a high school level right now, because he's part of this community already, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. I 100% agree. Coach, how much interaction or conversation have you had with the other coaches in the OVC? What kind of things have you discussed? I know obviously you're not meeting in person, but things are always discussed and worked out in these late spring, summer months as you move towards another basketball season. What kind of things have you talked about in those meetings now?
It's interesting because everyone's from different states, or not everyone, but you have several
Right.
different states involved. So, and we were on a head coaches meeting probably about 2 weeks ago, and certain coaches, you could see like, hey, there's no vaccine. Like, how are we even talking about going back? Other coaches like this might affect me differently than it would affect somebody else. And then other coaches are like, hey, my school's about to open, or they're talking about bringing people to campus sooner or later. And, in the state of Illinois, we're like, well, wait, we weren't even close to that about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So it was, again, you're playing that what if game. You see a little bit of the competition going like, oh, are they going to do that? Then you make your phone call real quick. And, but to the one good thing there's several good things that have come out of this. But one thing that I've really noticed is there has been for the most part, a camaraderie amongst the coaches. That old school, why I got into coaching, when my dad was a coach, and the other coach would be at having spaghetti dinner the night before the game at my house. That old school camaraderie has kind of come along where, the phone calls, the Zoom clinics, people have kind of connected in a way and shared a little bit more of how they're doing things and overall as a program and like logistically within the game.
Have you had a chance to visit with your guys, current guys? I know obviously you've chatted with your recruits, but what has your meetings been like with the current team, and what kind of things are they working through?
Well, you had guys again, you had them in all different states. This was not easy on their face. If you think about it, for example, let's just talk about the twins. Like, there are two of them that are going to a house that wasn't expecting them to be at a house. That's 6'8" of milk and eggs being bought out of nowhere now. You're and that goes for everyone on the team. Mom or dad might have changed their room for the summer, and next thing you know, you got to put the bed back in it. That just logistical, that concept was kind of hard to work through initially. And them sitting back in the unknown is tough as well. What's cool is we've done about once or twice a week, we get on a Zoom call. I give them updates. We had a phenomenal GPA this semester. Our guys really worked hard. We did a lot of academic stuff. And then we just allowed them to kind of chop it up and talk to one another and see each other's faces. Because like I said earlier, our biggest asset right now is each other. And unfortunately, each other have become individualized in terms of location. But we try to get on the Zoom calls and talk. Now, as this next month, we're going to turn it up. We're going to do some different podcasts. NCAA has these rules that you have voluntary workouts now, which basically means nothing. There's nothing like they can go work out anyways, within what their city limits them to do. Their community allows them to do. If a gym's not open, you can't go work out. So just having those conversations, guys are finding parks. It's been kind of neat to see them talk about going to the park and hooping old school. And I'm like, that's what you need to do. Yeah, that's the good stuff.
The one thing that I know you can take from this and that I've kind of thought about is it's not unique to your program. Every single program in the country, top to bottom, is dealing with these same kind of challenges.
It is. And it's funny, about every 3 days, you hear someone that, wait, they get to do that? And then all of a sudden that, like I said earlier, that competition kind of is like, I want to do that too. But then you just kind of take a deep breath and understand that, that's just the nature of the beast. And everyone's really under the same umbrella. The NCAA has come out with different rules here and there. And to their credit as well, how are they supposed to plan for this? How are they supposed to know what's going on? And what you ultimately want is you want the health and safety of each student athlete, each community, obviously. You have to have a plan on what allows everyone to reacclimate within their community, within their program in a healthy way, then stay healthy, not just through the virus, but also physically. You have to give people time to get in shape, to get, guys might be working out, but it's different when you're playing 5-on-5 or in a setting like individual workouts. So, it's just so much unknown, but it's also something that you're starting to get a little bit used to.
Yeah, unfortunately we are. It's been too long. Well, Coach, it's been too long for us, and I long for the day when we're back in the office together and we're back on the sidelines chatting at a practice or in a hotel and all that good stuff. I look forward to those days returning.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I don't know. You had a great opportunity every day to do your socks every day. I mean, come on, what I need something. I'm either chasing CC around with scissors, which we were smart enough to get plastic scissors now. It took us about a month and a half to figure it. Took us 4 kids and a month and a half of quarantine to figure out, why don't we just get her fake scissors? And I'm waking up, I'm looking at my usual things online, and I don't know, maybe once or twice a week we can get some socks going by you.
The problem is I hardly ever wear socks anymore.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's what we're all. Yeah, I hope you're wearing socks and pants right now.
That's right.
We're not just wearing our pajama bottoms.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much for the time.
No, thanks, Joe. Good talking to you.